All right, let's jump right in. If you're a trader, you know this feeling all too well. The biggest, toughest challenge you face isn't really the market. It's not the charts, it's not the indicators. Nope, the real battle is happening right between your ears. So today, we're going to break down how the absolute best traders win this mental game, all based on the legendary book by Mark Douglas. Seriously, does this sound familiar? You've got a great plan, you see the perfect setup, and then, boom, fear kicks in and you freeze. Or maybe it's the opposite. You have a couple of big wins, you feel invincible, and you get reckless. This emotional roller coaster is the exact thing that keeps most traders from ever being consistent. It's not that the market is out to get you, it's that your own mind is getting in the way. So, what do we do about it? Well, the typical trader thinks the answer is just more stuff. More analysis, more screens, more news. They're desperately trying to find certainty where it just doesn't exist. But the pros? They're playing a totally different game. They focus on mastering their mindset, on actually embracing uncertainty, and on defining their risk before anything else. Mark Douglas has this perfect phrase for the endless hunt for more information. He calls it the black hole of analysis. And it's a black hole because it just leads to frustration. You can't control the market, you can't possibly know every variable, so trying to is a trap. The real secret is learning to control the one and only thing you actually can, yourself. Okay. So how do we make that shift? The most powerful way to do it is with a simple analogy. Start thinking like a casino. I know it sounds simple, but this one little mental flip is the foundation for everything. It's how you learn to trade without fear and finally get consistent results. First, let's get really clear on what a trading edge even is. It's not a crystal ball, okay? It's not a guarantee that your next trade is going to be a winner. An edge is just a statistical thing. It means there's a slightly higher chance of one thing happening over another, but only over a lot of trades. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And that brings up a huge question, right? A real paradox. If any single trade is basically a random outcome, how on earth can anyone get consistent, predictable profits? Well, the answer is all about understanding that there are two different levels to this game. This right here is the whole secret. Look at the micro level. One hand of blackjack, one single trade. The outcome is totally random and unpredictable. The casino has no idea if you're going to win the next hand. But now look at the macro level. Over thousands and thousands of hands, the casino knows with near certainty that its little statistical edge will make it money. Your job is to stop being the gambler and start being the casino. And this is the core of it all. The pros? Just like the casino, have totally and completely accepted the fact that they have no idea what's going to happen next. Once you truly accept that, it's like a weight is lifted. It frees you from the emotional pain of being wrong and lets you just execute your plan over and over again. So how do we actually get to that point? It's not enough to just tell yourself, okay, I accept uncertainty now. You have to build a new mental framework from the ground up. It all starts with installing 3 fundamental beliefs that create real, unshakable self-trust. Douglas boils it all down to these 3 pillars of a probabilistic mindset. They might sound almost too simple, but if you can truly burn them into your brain, they will completely transform how you see the market and, more importantly, how much you trust yourself. Let's dig into each one. Belief number 1, anything can happen. I mean, really, anything. At any given moment, some trader on the other side of the world could place a massive order and completely blow up your perfect-looking setup. When you truly, deeply believe this, you stop looking for guarantees. You automatically start defining your risk on every single trade, because you know the unexpected is just part of the game. Okay, belief number 2. You don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. This is the one that sets you free. It takes all the pressure off. Your success isn't riding on this one trade being right. It comes from just executing your edge again and again over a whole series of trades. And finally, belief number 3. Every moment in the market is unique. A chart pattern might look exactly like one you lost money on last week, but the people behind the moves are different, the context is different, the outcome is totally independent. This belief is what snaps the chain of fear. The pain from your last loss has absolutely zero to do with the potential of this next trade. So what happens when you start putting these beliefs into practice? Well, your entire experience of trading starts to shift. You slowly move away from that constant state of fear and anxiety, and you start building a real sense of self-trust. This contrast says it all, really. The trader who's driven by fear has this desperate need to be right. They're terrified of missing out, and they view every tick against them as painful. But the trader with a probabilistic mindset? They accept they might be wrong, they know there's always another trade, and they define their risk up front. They trust their process, not their ability to predict the future. And what these beliefs do is they directly attack the four biggest fears in trading: the fear of being wrong, of losing money, of missing out, or of leaving money on the table. Think about it. Almost every single trading error you've ever made probably came from one of these four feelings. When you believe anything can happen, these fears they lose their grip on you. Let me ask you this, and be honest with yourself. Do you ever find yourself wanting your trades to be perfect? That little voice that says, I need to nail the entry and exit perfectly. That desire for perfection is a massive source of pain and anxiety. It sets an impossible standard. The probabilistic mindset isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent in your process. And this all leads to a huge shift in how you see things. When you genuinely accept the risk before you even click the button, meaning you are completely okay with any possible outcome, you've basically neutralized the threat. The market moving against you is no longer painful. It's just information. That's the key to staying objective and trusting yourself to do the right thing. All right, let's tie this all together. Because the goal of all this mental work isn't just to feel a bit less stressed. The goal is to achieve the one thing every single trader is chasing: consistency. It's about finally becoming the casino. You see, it's like a chain reaction. First, you adopt those three core beliefs. That immediately starts to neutralize your fear. As the fear fades, you start building real self-trust because you know you'll always protect yourself. That trust helps you eliminate all those dumb, fear-based mistakes. And what's the natural result when you stop making those errors? Consistency. The ideal trading mindset isn't about being amped up or euphoric. Douglas calls it a carefree state of mind. You're not trying to force anything, you're just calm, you're confident, and you are simply making yourself available for whatever opportunities the market decides to offer you in this present moment. When it comes right down to it, this entire psychological framework is built to help you trade without fear on one side and without recklessness on the other. Once you get rid of those two demons, consistent results aren't something you have to chase anymore. They just become the natural outcome of your new way of thinking. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. What would you do differently on your very next trade if you truly 100% believed that you don't need to know what happens next to be successful? How would that one little belief change everything for you?